So there are places in the world called prisons where people are trapped behind iron bars and concrete walls and shackled with chains, and they don't have the freedom to go where they want and to do what they want to do. And there are other people who live outside of the prison walls and they have the freedom to go anywhere and do anything. And some people spend their whole life living in a prison like that, in an external prison. And some people spend their whole lives never going to prison, living in freedom. But the reality is that internally, everyone in the world lives in a prison, and we all live in an internal prison. It's a prison of our mind, and it's not made of concrete or iron. It's made of our emotions. It's made of our attachments and our delusions, and these are the things that trap us, that we're unable to free ourselves from, and things that trap us in states of suffering. And in the same way that someone in prison, doesn't have the freedom to escape from the confines of their cell, they don't have the freedom to do what they want. They're trapped by these things. In the same way, our emotions and our attachments, they trap us in states of suffering, and we don't have the freedom to go beyond them. When pain arises, we don't have the freedom to be happy. In that moment, we're forced to suffer. When we experience longing or anger or fear, we don't have the freedom to get rid of that emotion. We don't have the freedom to be happy or to be unaffected by that emotion. We're forced to experience the unhappiness of that particular state of mind. So in the same way that someone who's in prison might desire freedom and might dig under the walls of the prison in order to escape to freedom, to escape the things which have confined and bound them for so long. In the same way that we as spiritual practitioners, we desire freedom from these emotions and attachments which have troubled us and tortured us for a very, very long time. And this practice is like learning how to tunnel under the walls of our defilements. It's using mindfulness, learning how to be present with the suffering that arises in a balanced way, in which we're not overwhelmed and shaken by these things. Over time, as we learn how to be less and less shaken, cultivating stronger mindfulness, we have the experience of starting to be able to escape from the walls and from the bars. We find ourselves being able to go outside of the world that we've spent our whole life in. We don't realize we've spent our whole life living in a prison, and we're able to experience a world outside of this mental prison, which is a place of real freedom. It's the place of being free from the suffering that we've been forced to experience, being free to not have to be moved by our emotions anymore, being free to be able to be happy and at ease and at peace no matter what we're experiencing. It's the happiness and the peace that's unshakable. It's unshaken by our defilements. It's unshaken by pleasure and pain. So that is real freedom. It's the freedom that we're searching for in this practice, is a freedom beyond greed, hatred, and delusion. It's a freedom beyond our suffering. So I'll offer that for reflection this morning.